Hey everybody, in this video we're going to be talking about Stephen King's 2002 collection, Everything's Eventual. We'll show you what to look for when trying to identify first US and first UK editions of the book, as well as provide some historical context and thoughts on the work itself. The first US edition of Everything's Eventual was published by Scribner and has this very gory and gruesome wraparound dust jacket. We'll look for a price inside the front flap of $28. And again, on the copyright page, pretty hard to miss, a full number line including the number 1. Underneath, sort of a gray boards with a pale bluish gray binding. Looks pretty nice. Here is the dust jacket image in total. So I don't know exactly how many copies were in the first edition print run, but I mean we're in the era now. We're talking astronomical sums, maybe over 1 million copies. Everything's Eventual, while a high quality work full of great stories is not a rare or particularly valuable book. We are in the era now, solidly in the era where the books cost, you know, in the neighborhood of $30 list price to buy them brand new, but now are incredibly common and worth around $10. My copy does have some condition issues, but some staining, and I didn't even remember that until I took it out for this video, but it's not a particularly rare or valuable book, so it doesn't particularly bother me. But I guess now I'll just add it to the old mental list and keep my eye out for a mint, flawless first of Everything's Eventual to trade out for this copy. May as well. I'm going to turn things over to Noah now to talk about the first UK trade edition of Everything's Eventual. Thanks.
Hey everybody, so today we're going to take a look at the British first edition of Everything's Eventual. This book was published by Hodder and Stoughton, and it has the typical Hodder dust jacket artwork, this sort of two-tone minimalist artwork, which I hate. I think it's super ugly and plain, far inferior to the US cover, in my personal opinion. Anyway, if you want to check to see if your copy is a first printing, you're looking for a jacket price of $17.99 UK. And on the copyright page, a printing line that goes down to 1. And that means you've got a first printing. Not much else to say about this book. Yeah, the boards are red, pretty plain with black stamping on the spine. So not a very attractive edition, in my opinion, but that is the British Everything's Eventual.
So when Stephen King published his previous collection, previous to Everything's Eventual, Nightmares and Dreamscapes in 1993, he went on record as, so Nightmares and Dreamscapes is a huge, huge book, and it's kind of by design, because Stephen King sort of clearing out the closet and getting every piece of short fiction that he deemed worthy of collection in that book, and he vowed that every collection going forward would not dip back into his earliest days, but would be from things that were new and published after Nightmares and Dreamscapes. So Everything's Eventual is the first collection that makes good on that promise and includes only works from the 90s and early 2000s. So Everything's Eventual, I'm turning to the table of contents, includes some pretty high-ranking short fiction in the Stephen King canon. So 1408, which was, of course, adapted into a pretty scary and effective movie. The road virus heads north. Everything's eventual. In the death room, very, very gruesome. That one I remember. The Man in the Black Suit was an award winner. Riding the Bullet made history as the first downloadable story produced directly for a digital market. It was a downloadable ebook, and Stephen King talks a lot about it in the introduction to the book. It was just an interesting way, and it was became very famous and well known that he did that he sold the book directly through digital means, but it did end up getting collected in Everything's Eventual. And of course, perhaps most significantly, The Little Sisters of Illyria, which is a Dark Tower novella that precedes the events of The Gunslinger. That's also collected in this book. One of my favorite stories in Everything's Eventual is the first story, Autopsy Room 4, which it's one of my great fears and nightmares. Probably a great fear of many people is being paralyzed inside your body, and people thinking that you're dead, but you're not really dead. You know what's going on. And when I first read the story, I vividly remember it played on all my, just spine chilling and giving me the willies. It played on all my fears, and then it has such an unexpected and hilarious twist at the end, and even now, it still makes me laugh to think about it. So as I said earlier, in terms of collecting, we are into the era with the books where they are very common and not particularly valuable, but that is strictly from a monetary collector's standpoint. The work itself continues to be of a very high quality, and it's a controversial thing to say, controversial opinion to have, and I've learned this as I've expressed it, but I think while Stephen King doesn't necessarily hit as hard, it's not as iconic, every new book as they were when he was younger, I do feel like he's a better writer, and he just continually hones and refines his craft. And I mean, at this point, when Everything's Eventual came out, it was almost 30 years on from the publication of Carrie, and when you practice your craft hours a day, every single day, over decades, I mean, you're going to get better at it. And Everything's Eventual, it's not a collection that I think about a lot, but going back over the table of contents, I was surprised how many stories came rushing back and how many images. There's a lot of really high quality stuff in this collection, and it's definitely worth checking out. It's definitely one worth reading if you haven't already done so. And I'm going to try to get out of this without spoiling too much of the fun, other than just to say it's a good collection and you need to pick it up. You really do. Anyway, thank you as always to Noah for your help with this video, and thank you to you, the viewer, who watches and supports and provides your feedback and your comments. I really enjoy all the interaction I get to have with you. So anyway, take care, and I will talk to you next time. Thanks. Bye.